Me, okay?
Okay.
Alright, so tell me about when you first met John.
When I first met John, we actually got in a fight. We hated each other. We just kind of had that clash from the beginning. I think it was more one of those things where, little boys make fun of the girls that they like. And I think I was doing that too. I noticed him when I first met him. I definitely noticed him, and he told me when he first saw me that he knew. He just knew. And I really believe that. I think I did too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was awesome. I remember we met him at the same time. And so we all started hanging out, and that summer was really one of the best times of my life.
Same.
So John had this really funny way of taking a very serious moment, and when everyone's just really solemn and taking it really seriously, and you just look over at him and he's like, "Bleh," or something really funny, huh?
Yeah.
So he had all these really cool faces.
The booth face.
The booth face. Give me your imitation of the booth face.
I can't do it. Only John can do it. He said it took years of practice, looking through his pictures, you see it. You see the beginnings of the booth face when he was just a little boy, and then you see it when he's in high school, and it was just so him. I can't do it because it's just something that's so uniquely him. It was like, I don't know. But it was him.
I mean, I know you learned some things from John just like I did. I mean, what is a couple of things that you learned that you're going to take away from your relationship with him and just carry on?
I learned how to laugh. I've always been the kind of person who loves to laugh, but I don't think I've met anyone in my life like John. He loved to make me laugh, and I love to make him laugh. And I'll carry that with me forever. And he was such a giving person. He would do something for anyone, and I want to be like that. That's who I want to be. And when I first met John, he was my first boyfriend. I didn't think that kind of love would ever happen to me. I don't know that I thought I was worthy of it. He taught me that I was.
So, real quick, John, what do you think he would have to say about all this tearjerker crap going on, huh?
He would make fun of it so much. He would just laugh at us, and he would have been sitting in that room making that face and taking the seriousness out of it. And I know he's in that room doing that exact same thing and saying, "You guys, we're going to see you soon. This is not it."
So, pretend he was standing right there making that face at you. I mean, I'm sure you can see it. What would you like to say to him?
John, I love you. And I will never, ever stop loving you. Thank you so much.
Real quick, can I get a booth crew for life, motherfucker?
Booth crew for life, motherfucker.
There. First meet John.
I first met John. I first met him at a meeting. We talked. It was one of the first young people I had met. I had gone through this phase where I was just like being a loner, and then I finally went out to some meetings and met some people. And I don't know. We played volleyball the next day at a sandbar, and God, we just had so much fun. And I hadn't been with. I hadn't had any friends for so long, and at that point I was just off to the races, hanging out every day, and just like going to meetings and just doing booth things. And
You got a Jahn Toole memory that you want to share?
God, I've been thinking about that. I think one of my favorite memories of me, him, Andre, and Andrew was we used to go to a beauty bar, or booth bar as we would call it, and we'd go there all the time and drop clock, and we all went to beauty bar, just the four of us I think it was, and it was packed, and we were just like going crazy, And then at one point, I think John and Andre started this, but they just started like dancing like together, like frontal to back, and then Andrew joined in, and then I joined in, and like everybody just like made a circle and was like watching us, and they were just like, "Whoa, dude, what's up with that?" And like oh man, it was so much fun. We did it for like probably a solid 30 seconds. We were just like, yeah. And oh my god, yeah, that was one of my favorite memories. I felt so connected with them, not in a like weird way, but like a brotherhood kind of manner. I don't know. It was so funny.
Would you say John's death is hard dicks or it's soft dicks?
Oh shit, man. Yeah, it's definitely hard dicks. I mean, I can't get hard dicks from it, but
It was pretty smooth poops though. Like, let's agree though.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pooping smooth.
So, what's one thing you learned from John that you're gonna carry on?
Oh man, a lot of things. Definitely just he was one of those that was just always there and always present in my life for the last couple of years. I knew if I was to text him, call him, show up at his house or anything, he would always be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had some friends recently who that hasn't been the case, and but he was still there, and I don't think I would have gotten through the last 6 months if it hadn't been for his jokes and keeping things light all the time, and
So John had this way when things got a little too serious, where people were just being too quiet and somebody was breaking some pretty heavy news. You just glance over at him and he'd be like, "Bleh," or something like that,
Yeah.
So John was here and he was in the middle of that meeting.
Mm.
What kind of face do you think he'd be making if you look over him? Can you show me?
I mean, if I was like looking at him and he was like over there like staring at me, he'd probably be like, I don't know.
So
I never mastered the John face, but I tried.
we can all have our own faces, So
Or that. I don't know. When he did that, then we've reached the boofsicle. We never knew what the boofsicle was, but
the booficle.
it was, yeah, the booficle.
But all right, man. What's one thing you'd say to him, dude? If you got a chance?
I love you, man. You're one of the best friends I've ever had, and just thank you for being such a big part of my life. And I wouldn't be sober today, or wouldn't be happy today if I hadn't met you and we hadn't spent those times together. And I'm definitely gonna carry this deal and carry your message and my message and try to help others who are suffering from the same thing. So you meant the world to me, man, and I know that you're with me today. I've felt it, and you're the only person in God and all the friends we've made. We're all getting through this, but I know you're here with me, helping me. And
Can I get a boof crew? Can I get a boof crew for life, motherfucker?
Boof crew for life, motherfucker.
He's my best friend.
Tell me more about that.
I used to not be able to imagine a life without alcohol. That's not my story anymore. I don't give a shit about that. I'm having trouble imagining a life without him. I don't know what sobriety's gonna be like now, because before I met John I had other stuff. And after I lost the other stuff, I always had friends like him. I've never been bitten by an elephant before. It's always been mosquitoes. It's always been the little stuff. And this is my first big elephant bite.
There was a gift that his friendship gave you. What would you say that is? There was a piece of John that he left behind that you can bring to the world? What do you think that piece is?
The number one thing is that life is worth living. You know, all the bullshit, all the clashes of personality, all that crap. You know, in the end, it doesn't matter. 'Cause life can be good no matter where you're at or who you are.
If you have one thing that you wanted to say, if John was listening to this, which he probably is, he's probably sitting in that chair right behind me laughing his ass off at you. If there was one thing that you wanted to tell John right now, what would you tell him?
It smells like shit in here. It smells like dead people, bro. We've had like 6 meetings about you, man. It's fucking weird.
Good. If you were to send him off with a message, what would you tell him?
Booth crew for life, motherfucker.
Okay.
Alright, Taylor, where did you first meet John?
I met John at Holt's house after a distillery meeting. I was sitting on a chair talking to him, and I just remember him asking me to add him on Facebook. And I started looking at his Facebook, and I was like, this dude's kind of weird, you know? Because I don't know if you've ever seen John's Facebook, but it's different. And I don't know. I mean, after that, I just started seeing him at meetings all the time, and he was always someone I just felt comfortable with, you know, like he was instant friends, I guess.
So, what's a good Jahn Toole memory you have?
Well, I already shared this memory recently, but I think we were at Icky Paw, and Sarah, John, Brady, and I were sitting on a couch in the lobby, and we were all like delirious. We'd been up really late on drinking Red Bull, and
He was making faces at people.
yes. How did you know?
Sarah already
He
said
was
it.
making faces at people. Oh, she did?
Yeah, and I can't use anything that talks about AA either.
Oh, okay.
What would you say to John if he was still here?
I would say that I would want him to know how much I cared about him, and I don't think I ever told him that, and I regret, the last week that he was here, I regret not reaching out to him and telling him that I was there for him, but he definitely was really important to me, and I really valued his friendship, and to honor his memory, I plan to really start working my program and try to get myself to a place where I feel like I can sponsor people and help others suffering from alcoholism.
How about a Jahn Toole face? That's pretty good. Where'd you meet John at?
Met him at Wham. We went out afterwards, and he was one of the ones that I've been to AA meetings, but I never really found people that I could really relate to. And John was one of the ones that immediately, we just had an instant connection. I knew we'd be friends for life.
Yeah. John was a really quirky guy, man. He was funny as hell. Give me one time he made you laugh.
I had to think about it for a second. There were many. I might want to turn off. can't think of one right now.
Alright.
He just. All right. The thing about John was he never judged. I never felt like he was, like anything he said around him, he would just go with it, and he was just perfect. He always just made me feel, I don't know, loved and welcome, and like I was his friend, and he was. Not many like him that are like that. He'd always just look at me and smile, and he'd get it. Like other people would be, other people, I don't know, maybe wouldn't get it or whatever. But he always tried to get where I was coming from, or he got my sense of humor. He got who I was, and just made me feel, I don't know, like welcome and loved in a way that's hard to find, or that I haven't found often. So.
You could say something to him. He was right the fuck right there, laughing his ass off at you crying.
I mean, hard dicks for life, man, for sure. I love you, man. I fucking miss you.
He snuck me in to his country club with Angela.
What were you guys doing?
We went swimming. He was my second friend I made in Dallas. So, we laughed a lot that day. I just met him, and I thought, this guy's really cool. We're gonna be friends for a long time.
So, John had a lot of quirks. You know, he's a very unique guy. Tell me a story about a time when he made you laugh.
So we went to, it was Friday the 13th, and for some reason we decided we were going to go to a cemetery. This must have been about a year ago. And there was this girl there, and she was so annoying. And she was irritating us, and I said, John, why don't you just scare her? Because we're in a cemetery.
Yeah.
And he turned around and just screamed in her face, like we were all being really quiet, and he just screamed in her face, and the girl like screamed and ran away. And it was pretty magnificent.
That's pretty awesome. So, let's say John was behind me in this chair sitting right here laughing his ass off at all your tears. What would you say to him?
I know that you don't want today to be a sad day, but it's pretty hard because you were such an amazing human being. Everyone, I just have never met a person who didn't like you. This is just, it's really weird. Booth crew for life, right?
That's right. Yeah. And you know, so when did you first get to know John's personality?
Well, I was at his baptism, so I was his baptism godfather.
Mm-hmm.
But he was always impish. So from the very start, he was rambunctious and fun-loving. He had a high-pitched scream he liked to make, and it was always running wild, running crazy, always jumping and climbing and stuff. So, and I think that was his nature, always adventurous.
What was your impression of that? What did you think of that, his future, when you got to see him run around and just have that great personality?
Jeez, yeah. It's hard to know what I thought of his future. I just thought he was a kid full of energy and full of life, and who was having a good time and was going to enjoy life to its fullest. So.
I hear a lot of people talk about the Jahn Toole, face making talent that he had.
Yeah.
He was my best friend. I mean, I got to experience a lot of that. Can you do any impressions of him?
Oh, he did the thing with my son Nick does that face now. I can't quite do it. That face, and it's the John try. It's Nick does the John try.
Yeah.
Or the toothy smile.
Yeah, with the smile.
The
Yeah.
toothy smile.
Yeah.
Or,
So,
or the non-toothy smile. Yeah, he did all those faces.
in my experience with John, he sort of had this really awesome way of whenever anybody was taking something too seriously, whenever there was a quiet moment and then things were just, way more heavy than they needed to be, you just glanced over at him and he'd be like, and he'd give you a funny face, and
I think we have that in common though. I mean, I have a hard time, even at solemn occasions like this, at not cutting a joke or making people crack up. Because, life is just, it should be fun. It shouldn't be heavy. And I think he had that I think he had that spirit in him too, and so yeah, we shared that in common. I appreciated that in him, and so.
Could you say that maybe that was something you learned from him that you're gonna take on, or?
I don't know. Maybe he learned that from me. I'm
Yeah.
a little older than him, so I don't know.
Well, what is-
I think his Uncle Marty. I think Uncle Marty. My boys call Uncle Marty. His father Marty also, I think, is a really optimistic guy. Not as out there as John, but also somebody who tries not to take life too heavy.
Yeah.
You know, so where that John got that from. But I mean, it's something I really appreciate. And, there was a time when John was down a lot. You know, there was a time where he would be moody and blue, and we talked about that. And I said to him, "Choose to be happy." You know, it's like choose to be happy. Don't let that linger. And I think he took that to heart.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So, let's say John was sitting right here in his chair and he just had that Jahn Toole smile on his face and he was trying to break the solemnness of this moment as best he could. What would you say to him?
And he was trying to break the solemnness.
Well, let's just say he was doing whatever John does.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What's one thing you would say to him?
I'd say typical John. Typical. I'd say you did a good job of getting everybody together for a party. So, and you did a good job of touching a lot of people that came out for you to see you off. So, he's got a lot of his friends here. You got a lot of your friends here, John. You got a lot of friends. You got a lot of friends. And that's something, that's all you have in life is your friends. You know, people talk about money and legacy and stuff like that. Your friends are your legacy. And you got a huge legacy and you're only 26. And I look at that and I say, do I have that many people that would notice if I disappeared? So it's a real testament to the type of person he was and who he was and how he touched people. So it's good, well done, and that's what I say to John. Well done.
First time you met him.
Ah, man, I can't remember the first time we met, but I remember after the first time we started hanging out together, it was at Torchy's, and we were standing out in the parking lot, and we were just, we met before that, but when we really started hanging out was after this moment. And what happened was, we were hanging out, and something happened, we started arm wrestling or something, and we're sitting, everybody, you know how at Torchy's everybody stands outside, and we're sitting talking, and we're hanging out, and we were first arm wrestling on a table, and then we didn't get in a fight, but it was one of those aggressive moments. Me and him always headbutted, and what happened, just, I either pushed him or did something, and then he pushed me, and then we both ended up on concrete ground, and everybody flipped out, and we just, we made a big scene, and it was sort of like a fight, but it wasn't. And after that, we kind of made up the following Friday. That was Monday meeting, Friday we made up, and then since then we started hanging out. When I really got to know John was last summer, and when we created the booth crew. We boothed at his house every day, made booth juice, and hung out with Grover, smoked cigars, went to the pool, and man, I can't believe this happened.
Yeah. What do you think John would think of all this mess?
Of all the what?
Of all the tears and all the funeral and...
There's nothing really you can do. It's just circle of life. It's unfortunate he went at such an early age, but I know he's in a great place, and
You got any, name a time when John made you laugh, bro?
every day. Every day we hung out, we made each other laugh. Just the jokes we said. It wasn't one of those. It's kind of out of context. They're not as funny, but when when it's me and him,
Yeah.
we're always laughing. Always making each other laugh, you know, me and him are both kind of aggressive, so, you know, it's a fast, really fast spark, you know, just when me and him get together, we're laughing, cracking jokes, you know, and just having fun.
Yeah. What's one thing that you'll always take from John that he's taught you?
I just always have fun in life, you know, and the things he made fun of, you know, just things that people took. I'm, for instance, too serious, and he's serious and joking, and so when we hung out, you know, I kind of realized, like, just take life as it comes. You know, there's serious moments and there's fun times, and, you know, he kind of showed me how to have fun in sobriety.
What would you say to him if he was here? If he was in that chair right now, laughing his ass off at you, what would you say to him?
What would I say? The best moments I had, the best memories I have of sobriety is he's in it.
Booth Crew for life.
With Crew for life.
And personality shine through.
You know, I've known him all his life. We lived in different states, you know, lived quite a distance apart, so I got to see him on holidays, vacations, and yeah, so, you know, I saw his personality unfold over the years. And, you know, I know with the kids, you know, amongst the kids, he was, you know, really active. And, you know, I remember my daughter complaining about him. They, you know, had some little conflict with the boys against the girls. And, but I remember him as being kind of a quiet, reserved kid. Maybe that was because, you know, I was an adult and that's the kind of relationship that we had then. Later on, you know, as he became an adult, I made a different kind of connection with him, and there were things that in life that we could relate to, and he made a point of, you know, making connection with me and contacting me, and you know, I really appreciated that about John.
All right. John taught me a lot of things as his friend. Is there anything he taught you that you're going to carry on? Either him or his death or anything?
One of the things that I take away from this experience is that, you know, it gives you new perspective, and I probably feel like I do with many other people, even my own children, you know, there's more I could have done. There's, you know, within the relationship, and you know, just like to try to do that better, you know, do that better. John was good. He reached out, you know, he made connections, and you know, I admire that, and I take a lesson from that.
Good. Now let me ask you this: if he was sitting right here, giving his famous John smile, what would you say to him?
I'd say, John, I love you, and just give it time. You know, things will get better. Do what you know is right. We all love you, and you're a wonderful guy.
Thanks. You want to try and do an impression of John in his smile?
I never tried this before. I'll give it a shot, though.
All right, it's easier.
Okay.
So, you're John's aunt. You've pretty much known him your whole life?
Yeah, I've known him since he was just a little baby, and have some really great memories about spending time with John. And my kids are Nick and Nathan, and John was a great older cousin and did lots of fun things with them. They all went skiing together and snowboarding. We spent time at the beach together, going to Block Island. I have fond memories of John teaching them how to, I guess it was like a skateboard that was a skimboard, I guess it was called. So water skimboarding. So anyhow, yeah, John was really an inspiration.
Did you ever get to see any of his unique personality and his sort of just his light shine through?
Yeah, John, well, John was a bit of a joker, of course, which I'm sure you know from talking to other people.
Oh, he's my
And-
best friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. So, you know, and he had that Jim Carrey smile that he could do, and
Can you make an
it's
impression?
just telling
of
it. I can't do it, no. But I saw one of the photos tonight where my son was trying to do it, not very successfully. So
That's great.
I was telling his mother that I don't think I've met anyone else who can do that. So it was pretty funny, and yeah, he's also very sensitive. He could be tough if he didn't agree with something, he'd go right at it.
He'd let you know.
He'd let you know. Yeah, right. So he's sensitive and yeah, but also loving. Yeah.
Yeah, give me your favorite specific John memory that you've got, if you can.
Well, one of the last fond memories that I have. So, I guess about 1.5 years ago, we all went skiing together and got up one morning and I was cooking and making bacon and I don't know what else, whether it was pancakes or something. And John just sat at the table and he just kept eating and eating. And I was like, "You want some more?" And he was like, "Well, okay." And I'd keep putting more. And he was so thankful. "Oh, thank you, Aunt Chris. Thank you. More food, more food." And so anyhow, I have fond memories of that. Just spending time with him.
So
Yeah, everyday stuff.
those are really the small moments of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So, at least for me. But John taught me a lot of things as his friend. I'm sure, you know, just being around him, you learn some stuff.
Right.
What's one thing you learned from him that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I think that that I'd like to try to be as sensitive as he was, and you know, I always would like to try to put the shoe on the other foot and to try to see things from other people's point of view. And I think he was able to do that, to, you know, try to feel what's going on with the other person. And it's a good reminder, something that I'll try to keep with me.
Awesome. All right. If he
All right.
was, if he no, well,
Oh, you got
just
another
one more.
question? Okay.
If he was sitting right here, and he was giving you his little Jahn Toole
Yeah, yeah.
smile, what would you say to him?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't think what I would say to him. John, you know, you got us all laughing again.
All right. That was perfect.
Great.
Answer. All right. So, when did you first meet John?
I first met John the day Sarah decided to finally bring him home to meet us. He was really cute. He was obviously very nervous. They sat on the couch and just kind of made small talk with us. It was a really big deal to both of them because it wasn't something Sarah had done before. We really enjoyed meeting him and liked him a lot.
Your first impression was one that it was pretty positive.
Absolutely.
So, after you got to know John a little bit, you got to see some of his personality shine through. Do you have any sort of favorite Jahn Toole moments that you kind of are playing over in your mind?
Well, I think both Sarah's dad and I both really appreciated how kind he was to her. Just very sweet and gentle, and he just made her so happy, you know.
Yeah.
And he would, you know, come over once in a while and visit. And I loved how he used to bring Grover over, and the two of them would take the dogs for a walk around White Rock Lake. And it was just such a sweet, simple thing that they loved to do.
So, tell me more about how John affected Sarah and how John made just he lit up the room when he walked in. Is that fair to say?
It was funny because I think he was always a little nervous around us, so he was more reserved.
Right.
It's fun to hear other people's stories because he was anyway, he wasn't that much of a, you know,
party boy around us, but I could tell from the things Sarah said they had lots and lots of fun. And we're, I think, all enjoying the photos and things that everyone was so kindly, put up on Facebook and everything about experiences with John. So we've gotten to know a little side of him that we hadn't seen. But
Steve had some really, really nice words to say when I asked him what he would say to John. He mentioned that he would like John to protect Sarah and his parents from up there. Is there anything you'd like to say to John, or anything that you'd want him to know if you could send him a message?
Well, first of all, I'd like to tell him thank you, how grateful we are for his presence in our lives, and most particularly our daughter's life. And to echo Steve's sentiment, to please watch over all of us, especially Sarah. She's gonna need his love and protection from afar, as well as his mom and dad.
All right. You did really great, okay?
Oh, let the smoke be around it.
No.
The boof father.
All right, man. Let's do this. Look here. After I ask a question, give it like 1 second and then answer. Cool? All right. So look at me. Where'd you first meet? Don't put that in the movie.
He wouldn't mind.
It's not for him.
For his parents.
It's for his mom.
Alright, then cancel that shit.
We already got it all. They're getting the uncut version.
Oh, great.
Where'd you first meet John? Take your glasses off, would you? They're glaring up pretty bad.
First time I met Jahn Toole. I mean, the first time I guess I'd rather speak the first time I hung out with Jahn Toole.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know how, I don't even remember how we met, but we were at my apartment in Addison and I had this leftover Mediterranean food and I'm like, are you hungry? And he's like, he's always hungry. And I guess we ate that. I think we worked out, ate, and then went to Wham after on a Friday. I can't remember where we met, but that was like the first time we like one-on-one, kind of hung out.
Yeah. So John was a pretty quirky guy. He had a lot of these funny quirks that he did. Can you name some of them?
Oh, the faces, man. He had a lot of good faces. The big thing that we used to do is sometimes in meetings when someone says something meaningful, people around are like, nodding their heads. So we started making a habit of doing that just randomly in the middle of the meeting. It doesn't matter who's saying what. Just be like, and people next to us will also be like, This is pretty goofy, pretty funny moment.
So can you impersonate any of his goofy faces?
Oh, no. Holt does a good one, but I can't. I don't have it.
All right, so what's one thing John taught you that you're going to take with you?
He reminded me to laugh always. Reminded me not to take things too seriously. He had a temper, he'd get upset, but I had a way of always being able to reach him. Even when he was pissed at me, he reminded me that because I've got a similar temper, like you can get over it, you can move forward, make amends, and understand, through the people around you and their feedback that, you don't have to be mad. You can apologize and move on, and I have a lot of respect for John for doing that. I forgot what the question was.
It's all right. If John was sitting here, what would you say to him?
Poof. Probably start out with a poof. Poof, poof, maybe. He'd probably make a funny face. And I'd laugh, and then we'd just, who knows where the conversation would go. Inevitably, it would end up with poof or boof, or boof shoot, loops. But it could go anyway, I don't know, I don't know what I would say and what he would say. I'd smile a lot.
Alright. You have any favorite memories of John?
Oh gosh. Man. The booth thread. I mean, I'll never forget the booth thread. You leave your phone unattended for half an hour, you got like 78 new messages. It's like, ah! That I'll probably never forget that. Some of the dancing at Beauty Bar. Going down and seeing Colin play, I'll never forget that. Ear boofing. We got these earwax candles. I stuck one in too deep and like had an earache for like a week. Never did it again after that. Just sitting and playing video games. Going to work out, biking White Rock Lake, eating, juicing, boof juicing. That was huge. We had a little juicer and we'd sit there and just boof juice. Go work out. Some of the best times, some of the best times.
All
All
right.
of it.
Gotcha.
So, when did you first meet John?
I first met John when he was a baby. Before he was walking, when he was still bobbling up and down. He was a little tyke with a lot of energy.
So when his beautiful personality started coming out, what was your impression of him? What was your...
Well, we had been friends with his mom and dad before John was even a thought. So even though we did not have the opportunity to be with John throughout his life, it was very apparent the times that we did see him, he had a combination of his mom and dad. He definitely had Vivian's, let me think about how to say this politely. I love Viv, but had her spunk, definitely had her will, strong will, and had a lot of her good looks. Had his dad's good heart, his dad's sweetness. Not that you aren't, Viv, but I have to say that the part of John's soul that was the sweetest came from his dad. And I'll say that on camera. I just did.
Let me think. So Jahn Toole had a lot of these quirks, right? He's a very unique individual.
Yeah, and again, I come at this from being his mom and dad's friend for so long, and seeing the joy that he brought them. And of course, joy does not come easy sometimes. We have to raise our kids with a tough hand. And what I want to say is I believe from parent to parent, looking at how Marty and Vivian raised John, they raised him with a combination of toughness and absolute love. And at the end of the day, it's the love that we'll remember.
So, did you ever get to see a famous Jahn Toole smile?
I never saw that until I saw these pictures, quite honestly.
Okay.
And I did tell Vivian that I think I know one other person in my entire life who was actually able to make their mouth do that. And it's really unique. And I think that what's going to happen is that smile is going to continue to make people laugh and to give people joy.
So say something to Vivian and Marty and Sarah right now.
Vivian and Marty and Sarah, you're a little family unit, and even though a big part of that unit has left this earth, he will be with all of you and with us in spirit. And you know from my heart that I believe that. And I believe you're the most loving parents. And Sarah, John was so lucky to have you, and you were so lucky to have him. And that was really a gift that's going to keep on giving. Keep on giving.
All right, so when did you first meet John? Look at me.
I first met John at the Whiskey and Milk group, and he really made a difference in my recovery, my sobriety, because he I mean, his group of friends were the people that I started hanging out with after meetings. Outside of meetings, I remember the first place we went to was John Muir's house, you know, and hung out with a lot of the booth crew.
All right, do this. Do this. Cross your feet, or cross your legs, and then cross your arms right here, just like that. All right, perfect. All right, now stay still. Okay. So what's a good memory you have of John?
Am I supposed to look at you or the
No,
camera?
look at me.
Okay. So many like good memories, like frisbee, Catan, hanging out, just shooting the shit. I mean, we never went on any like super crazy adventures, but like for instance, I remember when we were walking around in Deep Ellum, he got his little laser pointer out, but it wasn't a little laser pointer; it was like a really big laser pointer. It was like one of these super strength laser pointers, and he just starts like pointing it around, like hitting Reunion Tower from Deep Ellum, and just being a goofball, like
So,
he always is.
What would you say to him if he was here?
I'd have to just say that he really did play a huge part in my recovery, and I wasn't close enough to him really to, I guess, tell him that in person, and I have, I guess, a little bit of regret because I never really said any kind of like I love you thing, or like expressed to him how much, you know, he's played a part in it, and how important he is to me. But he really kind of he did play a big part, and you know, I'm just really grateful for the time that I got to know him. And I don't know if I'd be where I am in sobriety today if it wasn't for meeting him.
He loved you a lot, bro. You made him really happy. He did on a lot of different occasions. Give me one more Jahn Toole face. Pretty much his whole life.
I did not.
No?
I met John in 2010 when Ryan took me to Long Beach Island for their family gathering. This was the first time I was ever meeting his extended family, and John was the first person I saw when I walked in to the house and met.
What was your first impression of him?
That he was a nice kid. I didn't know his personality yet, so I just was concerned about everybody liking me and not making a bad impression. So I just tried to kind of blend in and not say the wrong thing.
Did you get any famous Jahn Toole faces that first night?
Absolutely. Yes, for sure. I feel like he put me at ease because when he would joke, I kind of got a sense of the family dynamic and a sense of who, between him and Chris, who were the jokesters and who were the ones that you kind of wanted to be around the most.
So, give me one of the Jahn Toole smiles.
Oh gosh, can I
Do your best impression. Perfect.
I feel like that was pretty good.
Okay, so what's one thing you learned from John that you're going to take on from your experience with him?
One thing I learned from John, probably in my life, I struggle with having fun, and I feel like when you look at him and all the fun that he was able to have all day, every day, you want that for yourself a little bit, or at least everyone wanted to be around him so that they could have that fun too. And I think that I'm going to think of Yanni from when we would just laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and listen to music and laugh and not even know why.
What kind of stuff did you laugh at? You don't remember why you laughing? Just laughing.
Just laughing, like between him and Ryan making jokes. They're so quick and you can't even be a part of it because you're just listening and laughing and you don't even know where they get the stuff from. And you, even if you're not as quick as they, you can still be around it and feel it and enjoy it.
Yeah. So Jahn Toole had this really cool thing that he did where whenever somebody was having a serious moment or a very solemn moment and just they were taking life too hard, you just look over at him and he'd be making a funny face or something at you, and it would just completely just put everything in perspective. Mm-hmm. What do you think he'd be saying right now if he was in there, or what do you think he'd be? What would you? What do you think he would say?
Right now?
Mm-hmm.
Lighten up. Come on, guys. when I was writing the speech and when Ryan was writing his speech, we both kind of looked at each other and said, it's fine. Because if John were here, he'd be like, fuck this, guys. Come on. Like, let's go. Just don't even worry about it. So we were kind of getting lost in it. I think that's what he would say. I think he would say, cool it. Yeah.
So, what would you say to him if you had the chance?
That's tough. I would tell him, seems silly, but I would tell him that I love him because I wasn't family. And we only saw each other a few times, but like I said, I love him as family. I would say to him.
Awesome.
Well, actually the first time I met John was Sarah's birthday, and they were at Target Golf, and I really didn't meet John because he was so shy. I met all the people that were there, and my wife and I had taken Sarah's birthday cake for all these people, and I met Grover, spent a lot of time with Grover. But John was so shy, he just kept hitting golf balls. And when I left that night, when Nancy and I left everybody, I said, you know that guy that was hitting golf balls? I said, I think that's who Sarah likes. And I've always seen that in John, that he's very shy. He was always very shy and very humble.
So do you, I know you mentioned that John left a great impression on you from his humility and his overall gratitude. So is there any particular memory you'd like to share about him or anything like that?
Well, I think without a doubt, John's qualities of humility and gratefulness, everybody saw. John, like I said earlier this evening, would come to our house to either spend time with us or just Sarah, and it was such a gentleman. He brought flowers, he brought meringues, he brought cookies. I think most of that was for Sarah, but I got to eat it all. And then again, like I said this evening, he when we went to dinner, whether it was out or at our house, nothing but thank yous. Whatever we did with John, he was always thanking us. Just a perfect gentleman. I said it was like being with a little boy trapped in a man's body. He was just such a genuine kid, and that's probably what made the biggest impression on me, in that he took care of my daughter. He was her best friend, and I think she was his best friend. And it was good for Sarah. I think it was good for John, and it's something that she'll have John with her the rest of her life. There's no question about it, and I'm happy for that. I'm very happy that she will have John with her the rest of her life.
If there was any message you could give John right now, what would it be?
Come back, just come back and take care of Sarah. Take care of your folks. I know how much you loved your parents, and I just want you to take care of them. They obviously love you dearly, and like Sarah, and I just want you to take care of them. I want you to come back and watch over them. and I know you will. I know where you are. There's no question in my mind that you have the power to take care of your father and your mother and Sarah, and that's where you are. You're with the greatest power, and I have no question about that. There was no fault in John. There were no faults that I saw.
Thank you so much, Steve. Remember?
Yeah, you know, whenever I think of John as a kid, I think of the beach. We spent all of our summers at the Jersey Shore, and I once had the privilege of going up to Block Island with him, Uncle Marty, and Aunt Vivian. And we rode around on a moped. I think we did everything that there was you could ever possibly do on Block Island. And we actually, Aunt Vivian went bathing suit shopping, and she came out and was like giving us a fashion show of all our different bathing suits, and John was sitting there making his funny faces, you know, getting into it, making me laugh while I was like trying to give her feedback, you know. And then another time, more recently, was when I moved out to Denver. I guess it was like 2011. My brother and I didn't have any idea where we were gonna stop when we drove cross country. We're like, maybe we could drive straight through, I don't know. And we wound up stopping and staying with John. And he made us dinner, and we played like video games, I guess. Well, they did, and I sort of watched. But and played with Grover. He was just so compassionate and a little bit of everything. His personality had a little flavor of everything in it. So.
When I think of John, I remember he was, you know, he was so well-rounded.
Yeah.
Kind of what you aspire to be. Like, he's really smart, athletic, great
musical, like
personality.
hilarious.
Artist,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, seriously, we were saying that before. Everything, he tried it all and did it all.
Is it fair to say John was the perfect human being?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hear that?
Yeah.
So, what's one lesson you learned from John that you're pretty much going to take?
Well,
And run
the
with?
biggest one, I think, that I could ever learn in my life, which is, you know, around the time that our uncle was diagnosed with cancer, and hopefully, I don't know who's watching this, but if it's Aunt Vivian and Uncle Marty, that's good. But essentially, that was when he really, I think, took a lot of ownership of his path, and he was in advertising at the time, and made a huge career change. And I was struggling in my job at the time and with what I wanted to do with my life. And I think that his courage to really pivot and completely change the direction of who he was and where he was going was so brave and so hard for anyone to do, let alone at such a young age, to know yourself that well. So one thing for me, I guess, until I find my perfect path or what I'm supposed to be doing, help me out, you know. That's just something I'll carry with me till then and after that. So.
All right, you guys. When did you first meet John?
I met
Look right here.
John as soon as he moved back to Dallas from Kansas. So that was years ago. Henry wants to talk to you.
What? John had some pretty funny quirks. He was a really funny guy. Can you remember any of the times he made you laugh?
Oh, he made faces that were just, undescribable. He made noises that you couldn't even begin to. You want me to?
I'm gonna give it to me.
Yeah.
You mentioned some of John's funny faces he used to make. Can you imitate any of those?
Used to make noises like.
Like that, Henry?
Yeah, we would be like riding in the car and he would make funny noises.
What do you think he would say about all this tearjerker stuff?
I mean, he would say, that you have to do it, you know. It's like one of those necessities. But as far as what he would really be wanting to do would be like, you know, hanging out at White Rock or running around with Grover, you know.
If he was here sitting behind me laughing his ass off at Henry trying to cry during this tearjerker moment, what would you say to him?
Are we being truthful, or?
Yeah, what would you say to him?
I'd be like, go fuck yourself. You hold him.
What would you say to him if you had, you know, what would you really say to him?
What do you mean?
If you knew.
If I knew.
If he was here, like if you had one more thing you could say to him, what would you say?
He's a fucking bright spot in my life. I mean, it was an absolute pleasure to be able to have him a part of my life for as long as I did. And I wish it could have been longer. And he always brought a smile to my face, and I would want him to know that when I needed, you know, somebody to help me up a little bit, he was there.
When'd you first meet John?
I'm sure I met John. It was with Colin, I think. Yeah, like Colin and Pat, maybe. I feel like, yeah. That was like when I first started hanging out with all the Wham crew. It was John. So probably about 3.5, 4 years ago. And so that's how we met, was just kind of through that group of friends. Yeah.
Would you, did you learn anything from him? You got any lessons from him that he taught you that you're going to carry on?
I mean, I think when I was thinking about this the other day, and like probably the biggest thing about John is that like, you know, that like whenever there'd be a kind of the word that came to mind was like austere, like a serious, you know, like please, you know, bow your head for a moment of silence, or somebody's, you know, taking something way too seriously, and just like look behind you and be like, or something, you know, and it's like, it was just like, you know, that mischievous streak, you know.
Kind of like you'd be doing right now, probably.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I've been thinking about too. Is just, you know, and yeah, that's probably like the main thing. And just he's a really smart dude, like, you know. And I always appreciated having conversation with him because it's like, you know, I don't know. Like I'm a pretty zany guy myself and pretty creative, and you know, like it's a rare day that you meet somebody that can kind of get as like outlandish and kind of oddball, like goofy fun as John, you know. So.
All right, man. How'd you know John?
He was my cousin.
He's your cousin?
Yeah.
So you knew him for a while then?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
My whole life, his whole life. 26 years.
Okay. You got any childhood memories or anything like that? I mean, there's got to be something.
There are a lot.
Yeah.
And picking any one memory is nice, but the accumulation of all of them really is what tells the story of what turned to be a really kind, sensitive guy. I remember going bowling with him, and I believe with his girlfriend at the time. We couldn't have been more than 13 years old, I think. I'm not really sure. And just him being excited. Just excitement and laughter and just funny faces.
Yeah, he had a lot of those quirks.
Yeah.
He had a lot of those funny faces.
Yeah.
What's the time he made you laugh?
Oh man. It's impossible to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
What's your favorite childhood? Can you do an impression of John right now?
I tried, so for years I tried to get him to teach me to do that triangle smile. Couldn't do it. It's impossible.
It takes years of practice.
Yeah. But just a
All right, man.
Yeah.
If he was sitting right here, laughing his ass off, what would you say to him?
I love you, and I miss you. And every moment that I got to spend with you made me better, I think. And I think made everybody better. You just knew how to light up a room.
Thanks, man. And you know, John taught me a lot of things. I was close with him towards the end of his life. And what's one of the things he taught you that you're going to carry on through the rest of your life?
How important it is I admire how diligent he was in reaching out to family. And he did that better than anybody I've ever met. And if I can do that half as much, I will be better for it.
All right, man. I appreciate it, dude. Emily,
Mhm.
when did you first start getting to know John?
From the second I was, the second he was born, we were always down at Long Beach Island together. Just, he was like a little terror. Dennis the Menace.
All right, look at
Sorry.
me. It's all right. Look, I didn't forgot to tell you. Look at me, and
Okay.
if I ask a question, wait like 1-2 seconds.
Okay.
But you're doing perfect.
Okay.
So when John's personality first started shining through, what was your impression of him?
Terror. He was a little terror. He was Dennis the Menace, for real, in real life. But we loved him so much, and he was always making us laugh by making our grandma look crazy. We would take trips from New York to Dallas. And he made the whole trip so fun for us, but it was hard to keep up. It was very hard to keep up. I tried really hard. But that personality stayed, and he just, as he got older, just realizing that the kid had such a heart of gold, always trying to keep connecting with us, even when we all spread out across the country. So,
Yeah, John had a lot of quirks.
He's
a very unique guy, you know.
Whoops, sorry.
It's all right. Do you remember any of the facial expressions he used to make?
Let me see if I can try to do it.
Try and do it.
Here we go. I think it might be something like. That was pretty good.
That was really good.
Yeah.
That was really good.
I love that face.
So, what's your favorite childhood memory of John?
Favorite childhood memory of
maybe
John?
when you guys were on one of your road trips.
I'll tell you exactly what. It was long, 5 days in the car together, so it's like, you gotta go to the bathroom, whatever. And I think he ate too much fruit, he just kept saying that, like, too much fruit. So I remember that, and also just watching Blank Check, that kid reminded me a lot of John, the kid in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, little things like that.
All right. John had this way of these super serious moments, when people would just be like really solemn. You'd look over him and he'd be like,
Yeah.
funny. What do you think?
Exactly.
If he was sitting over here making one of those faces at you, what would you say to him?
I don't think I can respond and just laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And just be like, typical funny face over there, or a little funny face. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
That
thank
really
you.
gets easier. So when you first met John, I'm assuming you knew him his whole life?
Absolutely. I knew John since he was born.
Yeah.
26 years.
What was your first impression? As soon as he started crawling and his personality started shining through, what was your first impression of him?
He never wanted to stop crawling. He wanted to get up and run. He wanted to get out there and play and really just be a really active young boy.
Do you have any childhood memories of him that you want to relive or anything?
Well, the overriding thing I think about John is that he was a meek and humble, caring, and fun-loving. And I think that came through in everything he did. He would always be making funny faces and really getting people to laugh. He believed in laughter, He was a meek person, and as Jesus said, the meek shall inherit the earth.
You think there's Anything that he taught you that you want to carry on, or anything like that? Anything you learned from him?
Well, I think he was strong, and he loved his family.
So you mentioned funny faces. Do you want to try and
I couldn't
make some that he did, or?
No, I could never make any of those faces that he did. But you know, he always, when we'd be down at the beach, he'd always want to be out there in the sand and in the surf.
Yeah.
And he really kept on the go. He was a great athlete, and we used to, you know, go out and play tennis or do things. And but he loved his dad and he loved his mom.
What would you like to say to him if he was sitting right over here watching you? Which he probably is, you know, honestly.
Well, his body's gone, but his spirit, I think, is here with all of us. And just that we will remember him and cherish those memories.
All right. Thank you, Chris. And so when did you first meet John?
I met John at Whiskey and Milk when I turned over, and I was kind of bored on my phone, and I had never seen John before, and there's this whole deadpan group of AAers, and then there's this one face. He was making the best way to describe it was it looked like a walrus mating. It was a and that was John. It was the moment I wouldn't forget.
Yeah.